E3 was this weekend and slash the beginning of the week, however you want to cut it. Technically, E3 begins on a Monday, but that's not how we do it here. We had drops right before E3 and then during E3. We talked about the lead up in our previous video, but I want to talk about the different conferences and how we felt about them as quick as possible because there's a lot.
There's so much stuff.
So much. We're trying to structure this a little bit for everyone by conference. Some of this bleeds through a little bit, but I think that'll be an easier way to kind of to just take this in, and then you can digest it later or digest it with us, because that just sounds yummy. Let's start out with EA.
We're going to do these chronologically.
Yes.
So let's start with EA.
Yeah. EA, which... by the way, we did make predictions. We'll talk about that later on. I'll try, because otherwise it'll take way too much time. Starting out with EA, we got Battlefield 5 and more details on Battlefield 5. A lot of interesting things in regards to the story and them saying we're going to do this different. I'm going to get it wrong, but is it Finland? Is that where the story's?
Finland or Norway?
One of the I thought it was Finland. Is where the story is going to be revolved around that, so it's not your stereotypical Merkin go and help and stuff.
Yeah, they said that they wanted to put an emphasis on untold stories, and like some of the scenes that they have, not spoiling anything, but several of the cutscenes that they showed were focused on interacting as civilians.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that frequently doesn't get covered, because there's the big power fantasy of I'm killing everything and saving the world, but it's also important from an empathy standpoint to remember how much wars cost, and it's not just the cost of bullets or even human lives, but just the way that it can devastate a country. And so I'm really fascinated in those vignettes.
I agree.
I'm slightly less fascinated in Battle Royale, but I did want to, I have in the notes here that from the beginning of EA press conferences to the first mention of Battle Royale was 6 minutes and 12 seconds.
Does not surprise me at all. Battle Royale's the thing. That's what everybody's trying to get their hands on. Everyone is going to try to be the next Battle Royale because because they're seeing the player base is going there. They're seeing that so many people are playing there. They want a piece of that action, and we will talk more about that later because there's so many Battle Royale games. Well, I could just meander about it, but basically everyone wants a piece of that pie. Fortnite took over PUBG. PUBG's coming out. We'll talk about that a little bit as well, but PUBG will be coming out later on officially. Fortnite still hasn't really officially launched either. So it's a massive grab for players because the players will give them cash.
Yeah.
I am happy that, by the way, no loot boxes.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say no microtransactions, but they said no loot boxes. So I think
who was it that said no loot boxes, no microtransactions? Somebody said that.
I thought that was them. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone said no loot boxes, no microtransactions. There was someone who said no loot boxes, and if you buy anything in the game, you know exactly what you're getting, and it's not game breaking. Yeah. That wasn't them though. It was somebody else.
Okay.
No, but either way.
But moving on to the games that have no Battle Royale mode, Unravel 2, which I'm excited about because the girls and I played it, but it tended to be that they would play until they got stuck. I would take over, hand it back to them. They would play until they got stuck. I would take over, play that part for them.
Sure.
Because the platforming did get arduous at times.
Sure.
So Unravel 2 is consistent two-player. You can technically play it by yourself by like switching between the two characters or whatever, but it is clearly designed to be a couch co-op game that you work and you conquer together. Yeah. And I'm so excited about that because there's a lot of games that, they'll give you co-op, they'll give you, two-player, cooperative, whatever, but it's clear that that's not where the game is meant to be. Then you've got games like Ibn Ob and Unravel 2, and I know there's another one that came to Switch. I can't remember what it is now, but like it's designed on two people putting their heads together, figuring out something out while they sit on the couch and laugh and probably die a lot.
And I mean, this one having Yarny and I don't know what the other one's named is, but basically two yarn individuals that are bound together, literally. And you're going through these puzzles. I also really liked if you're doing it single player, the pickup, as they called it, which really what it was. It wasn't really a pickup. Your yarn just wraps around each other, so that way you are one entity. I really liked that because it didn't change the gameplay. You could just run around and go through something quick and not have to worry about moving two players or what have you. I'm excited about it. I loved what they did with Unravel. I think that this is really great. I wish that they had called it something like Unraveled or Unraveling, but it's okay. Or Unravel
Undone.
2. Undone. But either way, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a good game. It's interesting. On to something that I got very confused about, Sea of Solitude. I will say...
Now we've reached the contentious part of our EA press conference review. Take it away.
I will be very brief and say the presentation was my problem with this. I did not have a problem with the individual. I did not have a problem with the game. These press conferences are... This is... I keep telling people this is the Super Bowl. If you're not used to gaming, this is it. This is the moment for your company or whoever to shine. The presentation was a little over 3 minutes of discussion about when you're sad and you're depressed, you become a monster, and such and such. And it was about 3 minutes while we got to see a boat in a dock.
Basically a static image.
And it was it. The weather changed, and that was it. Then when she was done discussing, they showed a brief teaser for the game, and it looks really interesting. I don't know really how the gameplay is going to work, but I liked the visuals. It did intrigue me once that was done. This is a great example of show, don't tell. If she had talked a little bit about that and shown some artwork that discussed concepts that she was talking about and how they're relating it, that would have been great. I just think the presentation on this, it was just sloppy. I know this is like their first foray out as a big as an indie that's now under EA's wing. I just felt like the presentation was off. Either way, I'm excited to see what this game is like in regards to gameplay. I just thought that it was just a big fumble in regards to actually presenting your product. And then the next fumble happened, which I was very confused about.
Well,
What?
okay, so you're jumping to Command and Conquer?
Yeah.
Okay, briefly. Sea of Solitude, I agree completely that the section of her talking went on too long.
Yeah.
However, for me, being able to understand the connection between her and the creation that she had made, the story that she was trying to tell, her own personal struggle that is reflected into this game. Because like if she had said, "Hey, this is a game about loneliness. Here's some gameplay,"
No,
then I would have
I didn't want that. I don't want that.
Okay. What I'm saying is there are two ends to the spectrum. There's that, and then there's tell you everything about how we got here.
Yeah.
And I think that she went a little bit too far to tell us everything. But for me, before I even saw the character on screen, it helped me to connect with her on an emotional level. And the fact that EA before had just been going, bullet by bullet, and it was just a really fast thing. And so giving them a bit of time to slow the whole thing down and allow me to process it, I think actually worked really well. And you and I both plan to play Sea of Solitude.
Yeah.
I am more excited about Sea of Solitude because of her presentation.
Afterwards, reflecting on it, I am as well. In the moment, I thought I didn't understand what was going on. Similarly to the PlayStation one, which we will be discussing. In the moment, that's what I was doing, and I was yelling at the camera. Afterwards, I understood what they were getting at, but the way that they did it was wrong.
But it killed the flow.
It killed the flow, in my opinion. I think it didn't help that it took her about 45 seconds to collect herself before then meandering for over 3 minutes to discuss it. But yeah, in all, reflecting on it, I'm curious. I'm intrigued. I'm curious to see how she's going to develop this because she's like the creator of the game. So I'm curious about that. I'm interested in it in hindsight. In the moment, thought it was horrible. But next is Command and Conquer, and I still feel the same way about it.
There is no contention here. We agree completely on all the points we're about to make.
It was wonderful. No. First of all, let's talk about this. The people who presented it were some guy, I don't know who it was, and some other guy, I don't know who I was, who called himself a professional shadowcaster.
Shoutcaster.
The hell's a shoutcaster?
Shoutcaster is the people who do it's esports play-by-play. They call themselves Shoutcaster.
He's stupid.
Yes.
You have color commentary, you have technical commentary. This is just like professional wrestling or NBA or anything else. You have commentators who watch the thing and they tell you what's going on. So I guess shoutcasters just shout it?
That is true, but typically when you're in the esports, because of the high level of interaction and because everything moves so quickly, I mean, hockey is one of the most exciting sports there is that moves so fast, but even with that, there are opportunities for you to sit back and kind of review, and there's timeouts and things like that.
Sure.
And in video games, with the exception of the first 12 seconds of League of Legends, after that, everything is just constant to-the-wall action.
Sure.
And so the fact that they are frequently yelling and getting so excited and so into it has led to the term shoutcaster. And so shoutcaster is a title / job / what he is.
So is Jim Ross from WWE, would he be considered a shoutcaster?
I would say so.
I mean, I guess if you're going to call it that, it's a subcategory of commentating. I thought he was a shadowcaster. Shadowcasters are when you watch a movie. Exactly. Like when you perform it while the movie's going on. And I was like, oh, good on this guy for being like, hey, I love Rocky Horror or The Room or whatever it is. Anyways, two guys came out. They said, we're going to have a mobile competition of a mobile strategy game, and here's how the strategy game works. And they had two people that neither one of us knew who it was either go out and play the game. People in the comments didn't know.
One of their handles was Nick at Night.
Nick at Night.
His name was Nicholas. I thought that was awesome.
That was
him for that name.
That was kind of cute, like with his name being Nick. But then they played the game,
when they were bringing them out, they said, and I wrote this down because I was amazed at it. The shoutcaster bringing out one of the guys said, competitive mobile gaming phenomenon. And I was like, oh God, okay. That's not a thing.
No, it's not a thing at all.
Go send mobile back into their corner.
And then I didn't time this part, but I think it was around 5, 6, 7 minutes of the actual game, which I would describe as StarCraft or Command and Conquer if your base was right next to your opponent, because in the screen you don't move around. You can see your base, you can see their base, and you have points, you have contention points you grab or whatever, and then they nuked each other a couple times and then they won, and then we found out, oh, this is Command and Conquer. That's how they presented it. They didn't tell me, guess what, we have new Command and Conquer, and we're Command and Conquer for the new whatever. They didn't even do that. You had some random people come out,
how
do a game.
How much more upset would you have been if they had?
I wouldn't have been that upset.
I would have been upset because Command and Conquer is a phenomenal series, and this is not that.
Okay, let me put it this way. Spoilers for something I'll talk about for Bethesda. If they had done that and they said this is Command and Conquer, we're so excited about the new Command and Conquer and the direction we're moving forward, if they had said that, yes. Because they didn't say this is it. They said this is Command and Conquer Rivals. It's almost like an offshoot. I'm okay with that. We'll talk about how to do it better with Bethesda. Which I think Todd Howard should wear that t-shirt. Better with Bethesda. I think that'd be great. Anyway.
So one thing briefly to cover. Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude are both part of EA's originals, which means that they fund the studio to make the game, and then when they get paid back, there is no interest, they have no royalties. They fund these games simply to get these games out. And so if you have problems with EA, if you don't like EA's policies, whatever, do not let that deter you from buying the indie games that they're picking
Correct.
up, because
Correct.
EA is making no money off of these. They are
Right there.
they understand their PR position, and they're looking to fix that. They're looking to bring another perspective into gaming.
Yeah.
And with that, they also said that they had been a part of a Play to Give over the last couple of weekends. And so basically anybody who was playing their competitive games online was slowly building up a stack. And, you know, whenever you hit however many hours played, it got to the next level, And they were able to give $3 million to 3 separate charities in the area. And I thought that was a tremendous VR move. My skeptical side says, you're doing this for the PR. However, that's $3 million that are going to help people. They are doing genuine good. And as much smack as we talk about EA, I also want to give credit where credit's due. And I think that this was an excellent move for
No, I agree. Do you know what foundation they gave that to?
I don't recall. I think it had something to do with like kids.
Okay, I'll look at it later. That's where you talk about skeptical side. It's not skeptical, but I give to charities based on the percentage of my money that goes to the people that are actually in need. For instance, Susan G. Komen, it's less than 10 cents.
Yeah, that one's bad. I know that at least 2 of them were focused on anti-bullying.
I did see a lot of that. I was very happy for that because there's so much negativity, and with the anonymity of the internet and the anonymity of gamer tags, there's a lot of horrible things said. I would say there's horrible things said to everyone, really horrible things said to women and minorities that I don't think are they're definitely not okay, but I don't think that people would say if they were face to face with someone. The majority of people wouldn't. With the anonymity of gamer tags, they can call them all kinds of names and say horrible things about, you know, did you put the Xbox in the kitchen or something like that. Like, I've heard horrible things like that. So I'm really glad that these types of organizations are there. By the way, I didn't see this in the notes. Thought I'd talk about it very briefly. We did have a crazy small name drop of the new Star Wars game that's being worked on. There's multiple Star Wars games being worked on, but this is
That's not in the notes.
It's not in the notes. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which will take place just after Episode 3, around that. I did find this
apparently really confusing.
Very confusing to I think that, you know, love Andrea. I think that she was very excited about being there. She's a very positive person. I think she was trying to be very upbeat, and that's part of her personality. And I think that
it needs to bring in everybody. Everybody needs to know. But basically, it was. I'm making fun of the way that this was set up, because I don't.
Correct.
Andrea Renee herself would not have said this. But basically, he said during a very dark time in the canon storyline where the Jedi are being hunted. And she said, oh, so which movies would that be between? And for those of you who are watching Patrick, as soon as he said the Jedi are being hunted, and he goes, oh, okay, so it's between episodes 3 and 4. And her next question is, so when would this happen? And Patrick leans forward and looks at the screen and goes, it's between episodes 3 and 4. And that was pretty entertaining to watch. And then his reaction for this particular show was pretty entertaining.
Well, it didn't get better when she then said, oh, so it's a really exciting time.
No, it's a tragic time when everything is falling apart.
All the younglings, okay? Yeah. All the younglings. Because we're talking about the Jedi Order. We're talking about, you know, anyone. Because you see the younglings. It's the whole meme thing now about the little kids. But Padawans, you know, we're talking about little kids all the way up to teenagers, and then obviously the Jedi that are adults at that point, all just being massacred. And everyone who died in line to get to that person. You know, it's horrible. I'm excited for the game, though. I just thought, again, really weird setup. Really weird setup.
I really like the fact that it's going to be you will be playing a quote unquote underdog. but
Sure.
it's not the Rebellion specifically, because the Rebellion has always been the underdog. That's kind of part of their appeal or whatever. But to be playing a Jedi in a situation where you're not the biggest bamf in the room.
Yep.
I like that idea.
Very cool stuff. And then the last thing that they did, which they spent a good amount of time talking about, which I was glad that they did, is Anthem. It's a new BioWare third-person action shooter thingy. Think Destiny, but in third person.
Destiny, yeah.
It's Destiny in third person. It is a hero third-person shooter. That's really the big difference here. I mean, you have powers, you have different subclasses, you have ways you're advancing yourself, but instead of being a person with armor or whatever, you're basically in different versions of Iron Man suits.
Yep.
Very cool. I'm intrigued about where this is going. This is something that I looked at and said, I'm interested. This looks really great, but it's going to consume a lot of time. This you're going to dedicate your time to, and you're going to hear me say that a few times during this video and podcast. I don't know if I'm going to have time for it, but it looks great. It looks like they're doing a really great job in regards to balancing, in regards to making you feel just amazing, but also there's PvP and raids and all kinds of cool stuff, and giant walkers, and I like it. Yep. I like it. Yeah.
So that was the EA press conference.
Yep.
So let us know if we missed anything. I think we got the big ones, and we're not doing every single game that comes through.
Yeah.
I think that would just be us reading a random list of games. We're trying to find the ones that look interesting, and if other ones turn out to be interesting later, we'll tell you about those too. But for now, we're just trying to do the highlights because there was so much news that came out.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads. Subscribe over here and click the bell, and that way you'll know about any new videos that we put up, because we put up a lot of gameplay, a lot of stories from games and stuff like that, and gameplay is down here.
Yeah, and you got more editorials and news stuff down here. Check it out.